the whole series on the good news was starting with defining that the good news is not something new. It's something that we started off in the Tanakh. We said it started actually in the first 5 books, seeing this good news mentioned. And so we know it starts as good news that was told to those of old about things that would be coming in the future, right? Forward looking. And then this is something that is being brought forth in the Brit Hadashah with more clarity of detail, because some of the good news that was told to those of old was already being fulfilled in what was happening in Messiah's time, and then of course in the apostles' time. But there's still more that we're looking forward to. Servants, obey your masters according to the flesh. In other words, according to whatever the worldly expectation is, with fear and trembling, in sincerity of heart, as you're doing it to the master, as you're doing it to Messiah. Because as we do, we're showing the master how we would do in regard to him. Anything that can be then extrapolated out to him. So as you treat those in authority, he will then extrapolate out and say, well, that's how you probably would treat me, good or bad. So he's saying, you are the servant to whom you serve, the slave to whom you serve, and if you're serving the Almighty, well, but you're also serving somebody here in the below. Well, how you treat them, he's going to extrapolate out might be how you might treat him. So he says, why don't we try to do this consistently? Treat them like you would treat me. So he's telling you right up front his expectation. But remember, the instruction here is for both sides of this. You know, we had the same thing when we were looking at chapter 5. Same thing, but he was talking about wives and husbands. Then he comes down here to parents and children and servants and masters. It's all the same message, though. You're going to be in one of those 2 roles, but in the bigger picture, you actually have both roles. Did you follow that? In other words, you are authoritatively over some people with responsibility to lead, guide, and have authority, and you are also expected to submit under some other authority. Everybody's in the middle. You're under somebody and you're over somebody, so to speak. And by under, that means that you are responsible to do the things that are expected of you by that authority. And by over, you're responsible for guiding, leading, and getting productivity out of those that you're over. So it says, put on the armor of Elohim if you have power to stand against the schemes of the devil. Well, where does the devil do his work? Outside you or inside you? Inside. It's that voice inside you going, yeah, you know you want to do that. You know you shouldn't, but you want to do it. So go ahead, do it. Let's do it. He's the cheerleader for you to do what you shouldn't do. By the way, I said cheerleader, not the originator of the thought. Okay, please let go of that Christianized whatever, okay? I'm not trying to protect the devil or take his side on anything or any of that stuff, but he is not the problem. He cheers you on to do what is a problem. The problem only is there for him to cheer because you already have the problem. You have that thought or temptation or desire already in you. What does stand mean? When that temptation comes and you say, no, not doing it. And by the way, the temptation could also go in the other direction where there's stuff you're supposed to do that you're saying no to right now, but you should be doing it. And the devil's like, you don't have to listen to that. Isn't that what started in the garden? Did Yahweh really say you can't eat, of this tree and whatever? That's the devil, knowing that Chava had a weakness. She had already seen that the fruit looked good. She already knew what it was good for, at least, that it would be good. She thought it would be good for her. So she was tempted. So people need to understand, the devil didn't tempt her. The devil brought out that she was already tempted, and then he cheered her on to do it. Does that make sense? Let's not be that hard on Chava as being like so gullible. She wasn't gullible. She already wanted to do this. All she needed was somebody to encourage her to do it. Stand then, having girded your waist with truth. Okay, so girding the waist with truth. So he's saying is that this is like a belt that you're wearing. So what's the truth? We know Yeshua said, I am the truth, right? John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. We know that the Torah is truth, that the entirety of the word is truth from Psalm 119. So you're girding your waist with all of that. The Torah, Yeshua, what you understand to be truth. One time I was teaching this many years ago, and all of a sudden I reached down and I was like, wait a minute. We're wearing this like on our waist. This represents the Torah and Yeshua. Aren't you kind of girding your waist with truth when you wear your seat? You're going to have your feet, or the things you do, your walk, fitted with the preparation. Notice it doesn't just say with the good news, the preparation of the good news. So in other words, you're doing the things that the good news is requiring you to be prepared to have that forward-looking thing come about. So you are fitting your feet. In other words, you're putting on the shoe. Look, if I put on tennis shoes, I'm probably not just going to an office with a suit on, okay? And if I put on dress shoes, I'm probably not going to the gym. In other words, you put certain footwear on knowing what you're going to be doing. He's saying you need to have your feet prepped with wearing the right shoes for walking out this walk. The walk that is in line with preparing you for the good news that's coming. Delivering you from the old you. Delivering you from the lies that aren't really you. The you that other people kind of imposed on you that isn't you. The you that you imposed on yourself just to survive that isn't really you. He's saying, take on the helmet of deliverance. In other words, be what you were meant to be. Is that a whole different way of looking at this? Okay? Because you were meant to be the one whose loins are girded with truth, whose breastplate is righteousness, whose shield is belief, and you know who you are in the context of him, not in the context of your parents or your culture or what country you grew up in or whatever. No, in the context of him. And now you know who you are. You're a child of the living Elohim. You got to do your part. You have to. He's expecting you to do. No, he's not expecting you to do what you can't do. He's expecting to do what you can do. Not what you think you can do, what he knows you can do. Because that shows him who and what you are, so that he knows what to do with you later. He's got positions to fill, whatever that is. He's got things that he wants to do later that he's recruiting you for. You know, you guys will do more to train, get certified, whatever you need to do to go get a career, than understanding that's only going to last 30, 40, 50 years at the most. But what about the forever? Are you preparing your feet for that? Are you preparing your feet for the forever? Are you doing the things to develop the skill sets, to develop the character, to develop the personality as far as like that you're going to be focusing on him? Or are you going to just kind of cruise through life thinking, well, Messiah did it all for me, I just get to get in? I just want you guys to get the reward. And I want you to understand what he says in here is required. Now, I know there's hardly anybody teaching that. Certainly they don't make a big deal out of it when they do. I mention it every week because this is why you're here. You're here to basically play the game and win. This is the game of life. It's the game of life, and you're playing it to win. And at the end, if you win, and everybody can win, you get eternal life. But that's the game. And the game has very clear rules and very clear expectations. And here's the best part. You're not competing against anybody but yourself. In other words, you can't win so then somebody else loses. That's competition. In competition, somebody wins means somebody else loses. You're competing only with yourself, and you should be cheering each other on so you all win. That's where you love your brother and your sister. Cheer them on so everybody wins. If you do, you win.